Hey, what's up, everybody? We'll be getting started in just a moment. Thanks for stopping by. We decided to try to do this one more time since yesterday went fairly well. Had a couple of people that wanted to join and were not able to, so we're going to give them a shot to come on in here and talk to us. And if not, it'll be okay. It'll be a shorter stream, but we'll have the conversations that we can. If you want to join the stream right away or join the conversation, go ahead and hit that exclamation point Discord in the chat, and you will be one of the first to have the conversation. So, topic of the day is Jesus was not all-knowing. A couple of the people that we got to speak to us yesterday, one was able to at least come to the conclusion that this is something to think about. So that is a good thing. If I can just make somebody think, I'll take it. And we'll just go from there. It's going to be very hard to convince people, but being able to get somebody to admit that they're going to go think about it is kind of what I'm all about. So, hello, everybody. I am Jay. You can call me Jay. So, if you haven't been here before, on our channel here, we like to just question all these beliefs that we were just taught from the day you were born. Most of the beliefs that we all have are that came from the moment you were just a seed in your mother. Like the path was already set. So with that, I like to critique all of these things, whether that's Santa Claus, whether that's the Easter Bunny, whether that's anything that has not been proven that we were taught as some kind of superstition. I see you guys already getting at it in the chat. That's cool. Have some fun. Obviously, make sure we're just respectful to everybody. I do ask that we at least try to have a genuine conversation as we go into this. If you're making claims in the chat and somebody's asking you for some proof, let's get the proof. Let's have a real conversation and talk to each other, right? Why else are we here? Looks like we got 5 gifted subs. Heck yeah. Michael Mako, appreciate that, man. Our lady, my lady. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that support. We are a small channel. I don't have my pop-ups just yet, or I thought I did, but my Streamlabs wasn't in there. Otherwise, I believe that would have popped up. So yeah, I appreciate any support you guys give. Obviously, having conversations is awesome too. Hey, Buck's in the house. What's up? What's up? Who else did I miss? Karaoke. What's up? What's up? Patal. What's up, Patal? What's up? We're gonna get you in here eventually, I hope. I have there's a buddy of mine that's mentioning you, like, hey, you should get Patal in there. So, you know, let's see. You said one day, so I'm okay with that. I'm never putting pressure on anybody, but you said one day, you never know. So I appreciate that. That makes it sound like at least you're thinking about it. And if you're thinking about it, I'm cool. So, you know me, I just like to have a conversation. So We got to, I believe we went through all of the verses yesterday. I thought so. And the weird thing about it is that you can get both conclusions out of the book. And I believe that's one of my main points is you can, I can understand when someone says Jesus is all knowing, and I can understand when someone says that is not, right? And that's just one of the interesting things about the Bible is that all of the contradictions, but contradictions you can sometimes twist and turn to make them seem like they're not contradictions. So it's it's pretty interesting. And as I said, that's just being fair from both sides of the table, right? Me being fair as a skeptical person, uh, I can only try to at least understand what someone else is saying. So, to be fair to that person, I would need to be able to put myself into their brain and understand exactly what they are seeing compared to what I am seeing. I can, I mean, everybody can do it, but I think you need to be able to do that in order to have a real conversation with someone. If you are only just parroting what's in your head and refusing to try to understand the other person's point of view, you're not really having a conversation. You're literally just talking to yourself. And that's what I would call an dishonest conversation. Interlocutor. I always hate that word or whatever. But an honest conversation is going to entail that we are trying to see the other person's view from their eyes, not our eyes. So it's just something to think about. Like if you want to truly be an honest person, I think that is something that you have to contend with. And yeah, just think about those things. Free will. That would probably be. I know I throw that in there a little bit if you know me at all. There's certain things I've said that hint at my opinion on that, but that's not the true topic for today. If anybody wants to even come up here and admit as a believer that Jesus isn't all knowing, that'd be a quick conversation. But hey, as many people as I can get to admit something that's true in the Bible, hey, I'm all for it. Like I said, we got to take baby steps with this truth thing. Doesn't mean you won't believe, right? That's not what I'm talking about, but you'll be able to just read the book and be honest about it. And I think that feels better for me is to know I am truthfully being honest is it lets me sleep at night. And if different proof comes along, guess what I'll do? I will be on here telling the new proof because why should I fear anything that has been proven? That's just something else to just contemplate because I think what keeps a lot of people from truly understanding anything or trying to understand anything or the difference between really trying and not trying. I think I just said the same thing like 4 times, but is the fact of being able to think in the ways that I'm talking about. So Something to think about. And I know we talked about yesterday too. Another part of what we were talking about was like one of my proofs was talking about Jesus asking questions or oh, hold on, I skipped one. I'm sorry. I kind of have written down what I wanted to go over because yesterday we started off more on the fact that Jesus didn't know, and most of the passages we talked about were just passages and examples of just Jesus not knowing things, which would obviously hint at the fact that Jesus isn't all knowing, right? Duh. All right, so that's kind of what we went over yesterday. And kind of today's topic will still be is the Jesus all knowing, but I'm trying to go through different ways we can know if Jesus is or not. And the fact that Jesus learns, right? That I think that's an interesting conversation to have. If anybody wants to have that conversation about how Jesus actually learns, right? Jesus was a child at one point and Jesus had to be learning things. Hey, there's that gifted. I knew I had a pop up for that. 5 gifted subs, never flame, never tilt. There we go. Cool. It's a little late, but it popped up. So I'm cool with that. Hopefully it's not loud or anything because I can't hear it. So yeah, I mean, if I'll start talking about that, right? So let's start going over some points in which we can talk about Jesus learned, and we can start off the fact that I don't think anyone would deny that when you're a baby and then you're 2 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, you were going through a learning process, right? So with that, Jesus would have been learning things, right? Who can deny that? And then I did see Buck in the chat. Hey, so Buck, if you were still wanting to come have a conversation, well, it'll still be on the same topic as yesterday, but I just put a little different twist on it. Like I said, I don't know what time length I'm looking at today, but I think for sure if we can get one or two, gotta stretch, one or two good conversations in, that'd be good. Mm-hmm. It has some verses here too, so let me pull those up. So yeah, I think this is a good one. Luke 2. So Luke 2:52. There it is. Luke 2:52. Get my notepad out. So here's another one. Notes. Notes. There we go. All right. So Luke 2:52, and Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. That is pretty telling there. Don't you think? I would say that's really telling. Let's see what this looks like. You guys are going at it in the chat. Hold on, let me let me catch up here. When I was in the womb, was I underdeveloped, or well, was I was undeveloped? Okay. unable to know? Was Jesus unable to know? Jesus fully God. I mean, that's that thing where people say Jesus was fully God and fully man, right? And I guess the thing people do there is just separate, like say you can be fully, I forgot what example they use, but there's an example where it's just like there's like a title. They're just titles. So you can technically hold different titles. So of course that's a way out of that sometimes. But if I come up with a story of, or not a story, well, I'm going to call it stories, right? Because a lot of this is not provable and we're just giving our own interpretations. But if I come up with my interpretation of how Jesus wasn't God or something, or Jesus couldn't be God, people will all of a sudden say, oh, well, no, you can't interpret it that way. But your interpretation is just as good as mine for the most part, as long as I'm not taking anything out I'm sorry, from outside the Bible. I think you can literally just use the Bible itself to refute a lot of the claims that are in other chapters. Didn't Quran say Jesus started speaking as a baby? Did it? I will say I don't know holy crap about the Quran. I don't at all. Um, Quran on Jesus as a baby. It was one of those old things that bugged me a lot as far as not having any stories about Jesus's adolescence. It used to bug me a lot. All right, so she pointed to him. They said, "How can we speak to one who is in the cradle, a child?" Then Jesus speaks. He said, "Indeed, I am the servant of Allah." Holy crap! They got a story with Jesus speaking, yo. That's a baby. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet. Wait, what kind of baby? They said in the cradle though, so that I guess that means like a like an actual baby, right? Cradle. That's interesting. Good point out from who was that? Oh, Deb. Deb. All right, so line is open for anyone to jump on, have a conversation about this one. Let me take down the notepad. Anyways, you guys let me know how you're doing while we're waiting for anyone to not be afraid. We definitely do not have any evidence of design. I think things would look way more simple if it was designed, because I'm assuming that this designer would be a perfect designer. If not, maybe not. By the way, I don't know why we say that. I don't believe we found it at all. But what makes us think that God or whatever we would call God would have to be perfect? That's a little strange that we do that. I think it's a little self projection. The fact that we want to be perfect is what leads us to just say God has to be perfect. I can assume that is probably really, really true in it if we went back on the history of why we always come up with these kind of things. I mean, in the Quran, it says that Jesus spoke. I don't know how to, it says Quran 19:27:33 through 33. Yep. This is in Surah Maham. I don't know. I'm probably just butchering that. Patal, do you believe in the Quran? Yeah, there's no you can't make yourself believe. I think what you're when people say that, what you're saying really is just pretend as if you believe. Pretty sure that's all it is. Like just pretend that you believe and then with the hopes of maybe believing in it one day. Was Pascal's wager, right? That's that whole thing where, hey, you might as well because if not, you're gonna get punished forever. And if so, if you're right, won't matter. I mean, I think that doesn't sound like it's that simple to me because you still have to pick the right God. But, you know, what we got? We've been going for 25 minutes. Like I said, we're gonna give it a little while to see if anybody jumps in. This was more of a surprise stream. I got another video coming out at 11. I had one come out earlier this morning, or 11, sorry, one coming out this afternoon, and I have one come out this morning. I'm sure there's a lot of people that lie about believing in God. If you're if you're surrounded in a community that's all there is, you probably can't function as far as like even working or just getting along with your neighbors. So I'm sure there is a lot of people in those kind of places that are pretending for sure. I'd be surprised if it was any way otherwise. It's not much you can do when you are in a community like that. Uh-oh. Just lost what I was doing, man. If that makes sense. Sure, God would know if they're pretending, but Pascal's wager was just saying, just keep pretending as if you believe. So it's possible you just end up believing, right? I don't get that question, by the way. Why do people breathe air before asking if air is real? What? You're gonna have to explain that one. I don't get it. What? But if you think there's like, no, you weren't saying nobody was pretending. Okay, I was like, yeah, if you think nobody's not pretending, then that's funny. Uh, People try to equate things that we have evidence for, but of course, you never can prove something 100%, whatever that means. I kind of hate that argument, but It's different than just making up something that we have no proof of, right? That's really different. Just suggestions. All right, Patel. Thanks for stopping in. One day, you're gonna have to think about what people are saying. You gotta actually listen and not just preach it, okay? Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. One day. All right, I'm trying to keep us going here because I thought we would have at least one hop in here, so I want to give them some time. What else do I have here on my list of things? So I was like, okay, if nobody shows up to talk, we did have people show up, and then again, thanks for those gifted subscriptions. That's awesome. Um, so we're talking about Jesus learning, Jesus growing. With that alone would mean that to learn a lot. With that alone, it would mean that Jesus does not know everything if Jesus is learning. So I think that's kind of the nail in the coffin right there. I believe that would be the nail in the coffin. I'm going to go with that one. The fact that at one point Jesus was a baby, and yeah, Jesus learned. Was Mary pregnant for 9 months? Because also Jesus was growing, right? That's growing before he was even a human being. So Jesus was learning. Jesus didn't know everything. Right there. Case closed. All right, segment 2 for that. It's Jesus asks questions. Who touched my clothes? Mark 5:30. How long has this been happening to him? Mark 9:21. Where have you laid him? John 11:34. So obviously our main point to that is Jesus asks questions. He can ask him for teaching purposes, but some of those you can't say that. Like, where have you laid him? That's just a real question. Right? You can't twist that one. He's literally asking, "Hey, where did y'all put him? I'm gonna go walk to him. I'm gonna go over to him." Yeah, there's plenty of verses where God doesn't know either. That is 100% true. And I think we can distinguish pretty easily between how do you tell the difference between Jesus asking because he knows and Jesus asking because he doesn't know, right? There's there's different ways of reading a passage or reading a sentence and telling if somebody's giving a rhetorical type of question and where did you lay him or where have you laid him? Nah, you can't twist that one. How long has that been happening to him is another one. You're not asking that in a rhetorical way because at that point he's kind of like in a doctor's position, right, where he's about to go perform some miracles, most likely, right? So he's not asking as a rhetorical. And I know that's just what some people would say, but nah, that ain't what happening right there. Let's be honest. Let's tell the truth on that one. Do have a couple of videos I'm excited to get together. So that's probably what I'll end up doing after this. Grab something to eat, maybe a snack, and then get back to it. I actually enjoy making the videos. It's really fun. The editing I don't like as much, but it's okay. It's fun to see your work. I enjoy it. All right, next up here, what do I have? So I did ask, how do I tell the question or how I tell the difference, right? Miko Pongo. Isn't that from anyways. That's yeah, good point. Jesus was asking God why he was forsaken. So that's another one. It was funny yesterday though, the guy that was able to Miko, there we go, got it. Miko, I remember that. It's the funny thing is the guy that came in yesterday and he was just like, yeah, Jesus didn't know. And I'm kind of, we didn't really get to it, I don't believe. I think we tried to, but it was just like, doesn't that make you question a few things right there? Pretty sure it's like the same kind of vibe. Praying works at the same rate as chance. Pray for something that has good chance of coming true, and it just might come true. Yeah, but pray for something that doesn't have a good chance. Yeah, like the lotto. I mean, people are gonna make excuses for the lotto. Oh, you can't pray for the lotto. They won't. God won't do that. I guess. Like no matter what, there's an excuse. I think that's the problem. You guys don't forget to hit that like button for me. That'll help spread the word about this channel. If you enjoy the content, like, share, get it out there. I love to have these kind of conversations with trying to make people be honest, at least. All right, number 5. Oh, here we go. Because I have it down here where God asks questions too, right? So we have Genesis 3:9. We spoke on that yesterday. Where are you? Genesis 4:9. Where is Abel, your brother? I forgot about that one. Yesterday, I forgot about that one. I would have brought that one up first because what I like to do when I critique the Bible is to go right from the beginning, because if we can find verses at the very beginning that are already contradicting, you really have to be careful throughout the rest of the book, right? It's kind of like this is how I see it. If I find out you're a liar right when I meet you, you have to do a lot of work in order for me not to consider you a liar. Well, I guess some people would just say that world peace is not in God's will, and world hunger is that you put? Yeah, ending world hunger is not in God's will as well. Apparently, at least that's what I'm assuming some excuses would be. Mark 14:36, and he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove the cup from me, yet not what I will. Yet not what I will, but what you will. Yep. I think we did bring up that one yesterday. We got Genesis 18:20 through 21. God says he will go down and see whether Sodom's outcry is true. Forgot about that one. I believe I had got the Tower of Babel one where God said, let's go down and confuse them and all this and see what's going on. I believe something like that. Or maybe I'm getting my verses mixed up. I used to be a little bit better at the, actual verses, but I plan on getting a lot of reading coming in soon. I got a little small vacation coming up. So I'm excited to get some reading in. Hopefully, I'll have enough videos lined up. I'll still be doing some of the lives as long as people enjoy them. But right now, the focus is on just making videos. These lives make it kind of, they're like a breath of fresh air as far as just being able to come in here, kind of chat it up, have a decent conversation. So I enjoy that. Let me see. All right, we still got nobody in here. We got a little bit longer, so I'll keep going down my list here. By the time my timer hits, if we don't have anybody in, we're going to call it. And I think the next stream would be Monday. So the point to those passages that I just said there was the fact that the Old Testament seems to portray God discovering, reacting, and testing and regretting, right? And investigating. Yeah, Patal. She must have knew I was about to go down this list, or he. I don't know if it's she or he. Sorry. But yeah, so the Old Testament shows God making mistakes, learning from mistakes. Maybe not learning, because I don't know. God did say regret, and the gentleman that pointed that out to me yesterday, I appreciated that, because regretting is kind of admitting you did something wrong, but at the same time, God said he regretted, but still punished everybody. So, but God can't punish itself, right? Maybe that's what's going on there. How can God punish himself? Also, here's some. So, yes, so here it was. It's like God asked Adam where he is. God asked Cain where Abel is. God said he will go down and see. God says, now I know. That's a big one. That's a big one. Now I know. How does anybody fight that one? God says, now I know. Crazy. Like, that's real time, right? Saying, now I know, right? Gotta be real time. Yeah, that's the that's the thing, right? Is it, if you are God, can you actually punish yourself? I don't think it's possible. Which is what I was kind of hinting at yesterday. My whole point to yesterday's conversation was, I was like, well, God should just wipe the slate clean and make the world how it should be for everyone to be happy, or just make it so no one's here, one or the other. But if for some reason God needs humans around, it is truly God's responsibility to make sure we are happy, right? The only time it would be our responsibility to make sure we are happy in this scenario, by the way, is if we're alone. It is our responsibility if we're alone, for sure, which is why we have to learn to be more honest with each other about these things, because it's not necessarily the person's fault that they believe, right? But after a while, you do have to take blame for not trying to understand, or trying to seek the truth, and just sitting in what you were taught and what you believe and what makes you comfortable. So that is one of the points of why I've been doing this and starting to do this. It's just to make people feel okay with being able to say that they don't know, or just admitting that you have some beliefs that you can't prove. And then we can take the next steps, because as soon as you're honest about that, you can be more honest about other things and social life. We can now start treating each other a little bit better out here. Right now, things are just so shitty. There's too many liars running around, and too many people following liars only because they have the same political beliefs. So this what I'm talking about here fixes more than just religion. God blame and punish people for unfortunately being victims. Excuse me, being victims of being the way that the God created them. Created them. Yes, you just you read my mind there as I was speaking. That's exactly what I meant. That's what I was saying. If only God said in the Bible, "Hey, it's round," and there's other continents, right? I think I have a video on that as well. Why isn't Jesus' story that Jesus kind of was still around? Like we just knew about this man that never died, right? And Jesus was just always walking around, and we all knew him. Like we're all dying, and then there's this one guy that's just traveling the world from 2,000 years ago, and he's still around right now. If I were God, I had to do something like this, that is even better. I'd be following that guy around. Just saying. I don't know if I'm worshiping anybody, but I'm gonna follow that guy around to figure out what's going on, right? Like got this man that's just living for 2,000 years, walking around, preaching everybody, telling everybody that he knows the truth, but he also never dies. Talk about spreading some words, like that word would spread very fast. But you got this man that is born, goes away at age 12 or 10, doesn't come back until he's 30, preaches for 3 years and close to 3 years, and then just disappears. But that is supposed to be the most important moment, and that's how God chose to share it. That doesn't sound right to me. The only way for people are sorry. The only way the way people are would be their fault. Is if they're willing to create, if they're willingly created themselves. But yeah, sure, we can't. Yeah, so yeah, nothing's all your fault. Yes, I get that point. Even though I have some different feelings about free will, we still have to hold people accountable for things. So it was too difficult for them to understand at the time. He could have said, seal this up until the end. I still think my idea is good, man. Just don't have Jesus die, or if Jesus has to die, I don't know why. You just don't have to die. You're God. You don't have to die at all. But if the goal is somehow we can't make it into heaven unless we understand, then just have Jesus living still and just walking around preaching every city, every country. And since it's Jesus, being able to do it at the same time somehow, I guess. I don't know. I could think of a pretty awesome story, right? Like literally Jesus would still be walking around right now. Maybe semi-famous, I guess, right? People might have got tired of him by now, but I guess we would lock Jesus in a lab. That's what I just thought of. Like if there was some guy that just walked around and never died, and we found that out. I guess Jesus could use powers though, right? Jesus just uses powers and go from there. I think that would work. All right, next on the subject here. We did bring this up a little bit yesterday, where it's God testing people, right? So you got Genesis 22:1, God tests Abraham. Deuteronomy 8:2, God tests Israel to know what was in their hearts. Deuteronomy 13:3, God tests whether people love him. I mean, that's the whole test anyway, right? Yeah, somebody's doing horrible things. Yep, they got to be stopped, man. It's unfortunate. it's unfortunate that they were in the situation that they were in, but we just got to do what we got to do. Just kind of how it goes. All right, I think we're close to the end. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do the last call. We're getting close to an hour. So said I only wanted to stay too long, or not too long. I only wanted to stay longer than an hour if we had some people jumping in. So if this turns into just a quick little fun chat conversation, I'll probably turn it into some kind of short clip for people that couldn't come here. Just be like a recap of everything we went over. Don't forget, hit that like button for me if you're in here. I assume a lot of you guys are already subscribed, so all good. There is another video that's coming out at in a few hours, so keep a lookout for that. Jesus knew and knows the hour, but it isn't for him to declare. Yeah, that's what that video said, but that's not what the verses say. That is not what the verses say. Jesus says, you will see the Son of Man appearing in the clouds. Yeah, that generation, right? They must have seen it. They must have seen it. I guess they saw it and they're gone and they never wrote it down because they got swept away. Jesus only took a few people. Is that what happened? What do we think about that one? No, he says it. Let's see. What verse is that? Some of you standing here today. Matthew 16:28. I think we have that somewhere. Let me see. Notes. Okay, I don't have that one up, but we can put it up. Matthew 16:28. Okay, what do we got? Truly I tell you, some of who are standing here today will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. That's what we're talking about, right? Is that true? That true? Believe that's what we're talking about. So Jesus isn't all knowing because, well, I guess in this one you could say Jesus either lied or Jesus is all knowing or not all knowing. Oh, Matthew 10. Let's see. Matthew 10:23. That's another good one. Let me get it up here. And I don't know if the person that said that, who are you? Sorry. Gene L? Is that right? Gene L? Sorry, I might be saying that wrong. Maybe you were just pointing it out to me. I'm not too sure. But Matthew 10:23. Let's put that one up there. There we go. When they persecute you in one town, flee to the next. For truly I say to you, you will not have gone through all the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. That's a good one. It's another good one. Seems to be a lot of verses, guys, that are hinting at Jesus not really knowing or Jesus lying. And I wonder what you want to say. Jesus couldn't know that he knows everything because there could always be something that Jesus didn't know he didn't know. All right. I didn't know how I got through that the first try. The Holy God of Israel does not subjugate. Oh, sorry. The so-called New Testament. Substantiate. My bad. I can't talk. Uh, so-called Old Testament, New Testament. So don't waste your time with it. Says the Holy God of Israel. Yeah. Matthew 4:24-30. All the tribes of earth will mourn and they will see the Son of Man coming. Did that happen? Does anybody think that happened? Pretty sure not, man. So, once again, what does that tell us? That tells us two options. Jesus lied a lot, or Jesus just wasn't all knowing and Jesus was mistaken. Because Jesus still could have thought these things were going to come true. That is, I don't think that's a problem to say that. Jesus could have thought that these things would come to pass, so that's why Jesus said it. And with that, since they did not happen, I feel like that is a fair example of Jesus not being all knowing. Option 3, all of the above. Acts 1:11. Let me see that one. I don't know that one. Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into heaven? This Jesus who was taken up from you into heaven will come in the same way as you saw him go in heaven. Okay. Is that proof of not knowing or knowing? I don't know. I'm slow on that one. Help me out there. Hold my hand. It's okay to hold people's hands sometimes. And it's okay to admit when you don't understand something. Just be honest. Save everybody the time. I really believe in that, by the way. Save everybody the time. Stop trying to win an argument and just listen. Please, God, please forgive me for unfortunately being a victim of being on the way out of Crete. Yeah. Here's how I used to kind of tackle it. Um, that was like some of my first questions was just saying like, well, that doesn't make sense for God to punish me. And this was just me talking to myself, punishing me for just thoughts that I obviously didn't have control over, the way my brain worked, the way I needed to learn things, the way I reacted to things at certain times in my life were just kind of the way my brain was structured. Now read Matthew 17. Okay. Thought I had it up already. Maybe not. And after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and his brother and led them. Oh, you think this was the okay. And he was transfigured before them and his face shone. That's so you're saying that I don't hold on. Where is it? Okay. It's like if I feel like Matthew's just trying to fix the issue, right? Yeah, it says Matthew was filled 6 days later in Matthew 17 at the Transfiguration. Okay. So problem is, okay, Matthew 17 is not Jesus coming. He does not come from somewhere. He takes Peter, James, and John up a mountain. Okay. That's still not, yeah, I would say that's not the Son of Man coming in the clouds, right? Coming, when I think of it, it's like a coming, supposed to be coming, right? Obviously, let me know if you disagree, but it's kind of what when I'm reading that. I have heard that before though, saying that I think that's what they taught in church, is that that's what that was, right? But I always used to think too, man, where it was just like, what is up with going through all of this trouble when you're God and you can just be straightforward? Oh, did I miss say something? Some of you, oh yeah, that would be the key. Some of you, some of them would have had to have died. So it can't be the event. That's another cue, right? 6 days later, and it would have to be the people standing there, right? So it had to be anyone standing there. Hey, Hermes, what's up, bro? So yeah, anyone standing there, and did anyone standing there that day, did any of them die before the so-called transfiguration? And which I'm still not saying that's Jesus coming, or sorry, the Son of Man coming on the clouds. But like I said, I do see how someone can twist it to look that way. So I'll grant, excuse me, I'll grant that you can twist it and make it look that way. Yeah, some of you won't taste death would mean some of you will, right? Otherwise, why make the statement, right? It's just like you just wouldn't make the statement. Do we have anybody that wants to come have a chat? Feel like I need to, while I'm waiting, to have like solitaire up or something and just freaking play solitaire or chess. I suck at chess. Maybe I should have like a chessboard up here where we're kind of waiting on people sometimes. In Matthew 10:23 is the final second coming. Where in the context does it mention the resurrection of the dead, the gathering of all nations for judgment, or the end of the world? Nah, I'm not gonna have poker up. Well, the second coming, I don't, where does Jesus even say that at all? What when Jesus, what's about the second coming? Isn't that like a made up thing? Or let me see about that. Like second coming. Let me see. See if we can find something. Matthew 24:27. See, this is what you have to do to twist everything to just fit that, oh crap, the world didn't end. Jesus didn't conquer. So it's like you have to come up with this. So the way I read this, it just sounds like somebody just coming up with something. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will the man come in the sign of coming of the Son of Man. Right? Is that supposed to be because it says east and west that there's 2 times? Why would God make it this difficult? By the way, I want us to keep remembering that. Like the fact that this is the most important thing that anyone can know, yet there's this much trouble to figure it out. That's never made sense to me. Yeah, God did not literally appear over the sky of Egypt. But like I said, I'm trying to see how people can twist it as well. I play that game, but it's just after a while, man. If all you can do to make this correct is to just twist your words, that's got to tell you something. I don't think anyone would trust me personally if every time I said something, I was like, oh, well, I meant this, by the way, right? Do I have solitaire on this thing? Let's see. Solitaire. Microsoft app games. But that's just something, I don't know. People just got to be honest, man. That's all I ask. Let's just be honest. But yes, again, lines open for anybody that's not afraid to come have a conversation. Don't forget to hit that like button, thumbs up the video. There's not too many of us in here, so actually thumbs up are even more important. YouTube's gonna be like, man, you only got 14 people in here. You can't get your likes up. All right, let's see. Do they have like Scrabble? Get my word game up. If the Bible said Jesus rode a donkey and often jumped it over the moon, I wonder how many people. Oh, good. I'm not on TikTok, but if you wanna jump into the Discord and say your piece there. I don't do the TikTok. Do the TikTok. I mean, I guess I got Microsoft games on here. Let's see. I got a new PC. Let's see how much it can handle. I'm gonna put it to the test right now. I can't play 007 or something, but probably can find something simple on Game Pass. Probably just shut off everything. I'll probably test it off offline. I don't want to do that right now. I'm pretty sure it can handle a lot, but I haven't put the PC to the full test yet. So, well, guys, unless we had guys and gals, unless we had somebody that was going to step up, I think we're done. We hit a little bit over an hour. We had a little bit of conversation there at the end. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And also, I did have a video release earlier today, and I have one coming out in a couple hours. So hope you guys enjoy those. I'll be working on some more for tomorrow. I don't think I have anything for tomorrow. So The divine source. Moses is not making up these rules. He is relaying the specific commandments, statutes, and judgments that the Lord God commanded him to teach. I don't know what's that one, Troy? What's your point on that one? Did I miss something? Deuteronomy 12:10. Oh, I don't know what that was. Deut 12:10. Oh, 21. I said 12. I'm dyslexic a little bit. 21. Stop it. 21:10 through 14. Oh, okay. You're good, man. I mean, if we have conversations, I like to keep talking, but it's just when we get too bad, I don't want us all just sitting here. I can go work on some stuff. So yeah, if you wanna hop in and explain. And are you saying this has to do with what part of the conversation? Your kingdoms is everlasting and it never happened. So are you saying the kingdom came? Jesus came on the clouds? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I say you're welcome to come chat it up and let me know what you mean. I could just be misunderstanding. So, oh, God is a liar. Okay. Because I thought you were saying opposite. I kind of was getting what you were saying, but at least I thought I was. And I couldn't tell if you were saying that, no, it really came true, or if you were saying that it did not. Does anybody know what seasoning Frugals put on their burgers? What? Oh, good. You're responding to my twisting comment. I'm just saying, why do we need to reinterpret it anything? Why do we need to reinterpret anything if this is just the most important message? I should be able to just read it and it should just mean exactly what it means without me needing to tie it into anything. Remember, this is supposed to be the living blood scripture. And it's the most important thing there is. So, oh, people lie for God all the time. I think there are definitely a lot of communities that think it's okay. As long as you're saving souls, they think it's okay. Kind of weird. And that's what I mean, man. When I look at a verse, let's just read it for what it is. Obviously, context does matter. Don't get me wrong, but you should not have to do this much back and forth in order for the story to come out as truthful. And remember, this book is supposed to be holding itself to a higher standard. So it's not everyone else holding it to a higher standard. The book itself, with its claims, puts itself at a very high standard. So I'm allowed to be very critical of the book. Anybody tells you otherwise, it doesn't make sense for the book to make those claims. Then the book itself tells you to be weary of people's claims. But when I try to critique it, all of a sudden, I'm not being fair. But I'm only doing what the book says. I was brought up on the book, and I started doing what the book told me, which was question. Right? I question it. I do. Everybody should question it. And like I said, if this was any other book and we had to, twist and turn to make the book true, I feel like everybody would call it out. First Corinthians, let's see. See, look, you guys got me still going. Like I said, we're having a conversation, man. I have fun. First Corinthians. You can make me stay for a while if we're having conversations. Yeah. All right. To the Jews, I became as a Jew in order to win Jews. To those under the law, I have become as one under the law. Thou not being myself under the law. Oh, though not being myself under the law, that I might win those under the law. Damn, that does sound kind of. Where was the word you used? Kind of deceitful, con artists. All right, let's keep reading. To those outside the law, I became one as one outside the law, not being outside the law of God, but under the law of Christ, that I might win those outside the law. Corinthians 9:22. To the weak I became weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to. That one doesn't sound too bad, I guess. I get the point though. But yeah, it's saying that you adapt to whatever someone needs. I could see how somebody, if they're only looking at it in the worldview of Christianity, is completely true. That does not sound as deceitful. But if you just look at it, if it was someone else saying like, hey, I'm going to be whatever you need to be in order for me to get you to where you need to get, we would look at that person carefully. We would kind of call that person a manipulator. We might call that person our president. Hint, hint. I was talking to this Israelite nation person, the Hebrew Israelites, saying black men didn't rape and got it from white people. What? That just sounds crazy. I'm pretty sure every culture has people, period, raping people, but as far as we know, it's mostly men. Unfortunately, in our modern culture, we don't care about the young men as much because there's young men out there getting taken advantage of too. Like, for some reason, we never care about young males that much. It's kind of sad. But of course, women are getting abused all the time by every race. Did Jesus know about the universe? Huh. Jesus doesn't seem to have known about the other continents. That would have been something interesting if Jesus had said that. I know somebody brought it up. If you scroll up in the chat, that would have been very interesting if there were passages of Jesus talking about worlds across seas and starting describing what those worlds were like, right? to his disciples. That would have been pretty interesting. Why isn't there anything like that, right? Let's talk about that. Why isn't there anything like that to where it's just like, holy shit, how did they get that right? I'm not saying that would prove that Jesus is God or anything, but that would go a long ass way, right? All we have is unprovable miracles that were written down in the Bible. They don't transcend time, right? Like, yeah, if they had some equation, that's a good example, Nano. If there was some like crazy equation, I know there's some people that used to say the Bible code. I don't know if y'all remember the Bible code. Let me know if y'all remember the Bible code. I hey, I was into the Bible code, man. I can't lie, bro. I really can't lie. I don't be lying anyway. I hate when people say that. I kind of started saying that from other people, but yeah, man, I remember that freaking Bible code, dude. Like the movies were coming out too, so they had Da Vinci Code was coming out. Man, like like Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks, like so those movies were coming out. You had like National Treasures with Nicolas Cage coming out. Yeah, the one of my daughters loves Nicolas Cage, so shout out. But yeah, man, I was in all that. Yeah, Bible Code. Wow, some of you guys haven't heard of the Bible Code. So supposedly, the Bible Code, there's like if you take certain letters from certain positions all throughout the Bible, it spells out these words. And then, of course, that makes sentences. So I believe there was one where it was said that it predicted the Twin Towers falling. Like, obviously, all of this is bullshit. But I was in it, man. I remember listening, looking at that stuff. And then I remember reading Revelations, right? Because it says, what's the verse that says, he who has understandings, right? Let me see. Let's put this one up. He who has understanding. Revelations 13:18. Yep. Bro, I wanted to be this guy. Because nobody had figured it out yet, right? So I remember trying to be the one that figured out 666, not knowing they had already figured it out. Right? It's like Nero Caesar, right? I believe that's it. So it's just like, here is wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it's in the number of man, and his number is 666. I remember reading that as like a 10-year-old and being like, what? I can figure something out? My whole point to this is going off the fact that we said, why doesn't the Bible just have um, just miraculous things that transcend time, right? Like if the Bible, somebody mentioned already, the Bible had some crazy, real, like not even prediction, because those can be so vague. Like unless the prediction was like obviously like name of some name that wouldn't have been known back then, that would be different as well. But I don't know. It's just interesting. And where's my chat box? There it is. Pretty cool, man. Yeah, I'm surprised you guys haven't heard of the freaking. You heard of the Da Vinci Code, right? Like, I know y'all heard of Da Vinci Code. Yeah, Nano. Just keep adding more meanings. Of course, But it would be cool if I read in if I read in the Old Testament in Genesis, right? And we just knew this was something that these people that wrote it down 6,000 years ago did not know. That would be pretty cool, right? It doesn't necessarily mean all of our beliefs are true because it still could be a trick, right? What if we just had these people that had abilities? I don't even know how to say it. This is weird because I don't believe in supernatural shit either. But if that happened, what we call supernatural might be a thing, right? So if we go under the assumption that this is true, that there was somebody 6,000 years ago that could see into the future, we now would call that supernatural. So it would be proof of supernatural a little bit. So, like, yeah, if there was something in this book that now really truly translated to something we couldn't figure out right now, that would be very interesting, right? I think it would. I think it'd be pretty interesting. Yeah, 616 was the. Is that the Greek? Is it calculated into Greek 616 or something? But whole point being, why doesn't the Bible have anything like that? In Latin, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting conversation. Bro, everybody, I think you got to go look up Bible code and just look how crazy and ridiculous it was at the same time. If you're like me, because I love to watch stuff that I don't believe in. It's like a movie, right? You watch shit you don't believe in all the time. So I'll watch flat Earth stuff and just try to figure out why people are thinking the way they're thinking. So just in case I talk to a flat earther, I can try to make them see the light, right? So it's like I'll watch these things, just like the video before last I did with God Logic debating the Muslim. I watched that. Like so, you got to know the people you're trying to help, right? And just because I lived some kind of version of it, everybody's version of whatever religion they believe in is different. So you can't talk to the same people the same way. You truly do need to try to understand the person, which means you got to listen. A lot of these, let me not say that. A lot of times it's hard to sit there and listen to someone saying things that you think are insane, but it depends on what your goal is. If your goal really is to try to help somebody, sometimes you have to sit there and listen to their story. So 666 has something to do with atoms, like 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. Yeah, I think you can probably, there's probably different versions of different things and different everything. Step on a crack, break your mama's back, all that good stuff. All knowing to be the best deceiver. Have you heard of the documentary hypothesis, or how God appropriated Beal and eventually El, the higher God? Let me look it up. Is that the story where Yahweh like split up different realms or lands and Yahweh took this one or something? Am I wrong on that? I could be totally wrong. Yeah, let me look at what you're saying. The documentary hypothesis. That doesn't sound right. So maybe I'm wrong there. Oh, you say kind of. All right. Like watching Pokemon movie. Yeah, it's just fun to watch. And at the same time, since I know I'm going to try to speak to these kind of people, that it's kind of interesting to hear them debate. I think it's hilarious to hear the Christian and Muslim debate. I'm like, y'all are literally saying the same thing. Just listen to yourselves, please, because you are literally critiquing the same thing. The documentary hypothesis is the idea that the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, were not written by a person or one person, Moses, but were edited together from multiple early sources. I would imagine that sounds true, right? Like I equate it to like ancient tribes making a quilt, and I know people still do that now, but I'm just going back in time, like making a quilt, and you do a little bit of the quilt, and on that quilt there's a story, right? And then you pass the quilt on to your grandkids or your actual biological kids, and then they add on to the quilt, right? So I can imagine these stories going in that way rather than somebody literally just remembering and it meant to be that way, right? That's how the stories kind of come together to me. And that's why there's so much contradiction, is because you really weren't trying to keep up the whole story. You were adding to the story depending on what your environment was like as that new generation. Um, if that makes sense. Inky, I heard Inky. I might have said that wrong. Yeah, so it has Yahweh's, Yahweh. There's Elohist. I'm probably saying that horrible. Elohim. Priestly focuses on priests. Deuteronomist. Simple examples. Yeah, I had to go through this. This is information I hadn't seen before, so something for me to study. It's cool. Trying to think of what video I'm gonna work on. I might relax the rest of the day and then make a video tonight. Might use some of the lives. I just like making videos, so sometimes I just make it. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Don't forget to click your buttons, all that good stuff. We had some good conversations, I think, even though no callers, but that's all right. We can't always get callers, can't always get lucky, but I still enjoy having this conversation. So, thank you guys for joining. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. As always, it's me, Jay. Don't forget, throw away your feelings, open your minds, and question your beliefs. Thanks, guys. Peace.